Dear friends, welcome to THALIR. It means bud. It is budding force to a new life. And we are Capuchins working for the renewal of the society and the church.
Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, on behalf of THALIR Capuchin Online Ministries, I welcome you for this week's special program meant for social work directors. This is from THALIR Visit, the virtual institute for spirituality, integrity, and transformation. We shall be dealing with project management and fundraising in this week. This is from part of the International Skills Development Program meant for the social work directors. This is from 16th to 20th of November, every day evening 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Indian time. On the 16th, we shall have the special session on the rights-based approach to development by Dr. Arul Kamaraj and Reverend Father Jyoti, a Jesuit priest. On the 17th and 18th, we shall have the sessions on project management and fundraising by Mr. Prabhakar. On the 19th, we shall have a special session on Foreign Contribution Regulation Act on the recent development by Dr. Kandasamy, the Audit and Finance Manager. On the 20th, we shall have a special session on the Catholic social teaching and the marginalized by Dr. Louise, a Jesuit missionary. Welcome to THALIR Capuchin Online Ministries.
Dear friends, Father Praksh Louise actually is the one who is supposed to give us on social teaching of the church and the concern for the marginalized. This is a very important thing because this is the basis on which we are going to write all our projects, all our concerns. So as a beginning, he is caught up in the traveling. He will be coming maybe around 10-15 minutes late. So till then, he asked me to give us an introduction. So I will go straight away for the introduction. So why Catholic social teaching? This is an introduction. I'm not going to give you the Catholic social teaching as such, but rather I'm going to present you to the signs of the times, which is very, very vital for us. Unless we know to read the signs of the times, we will not be able to present the project. The world today, global priority. What is the priority? You know, the basic education, the total amount that is spent in the world for the basic education is $6 billion. And for the cosmetics, they are spending $8 billion. For water and sanitation, $9 billion. You know that most of the problems with the children in the developing countries are all connected to waterborne sicknesses. So for ice cream alone, the world is spending $11 billion. Perfumes, United States and the European Union and North Americas, that is $12 billion. Pet foods, EU and US alone, $17 billion. Cigarette, $50 billion. Alcoholic drinks, Tasmac, $105 billion. And military spending, $950 billion. I have been working with the United Nations on the Arms Trade Treaty some years before, and we came out successfully with much difficulty. And at that time, I came to know that a nation becomes richer not by any economic thing, not by any commerce, but by selling arms to the other countries. The topmost people, the rich countries are all sellers of arms. They are people who perpetrate violence. We should know very clearly when you come across the rich nation, poor nation, let us keep in mind this arms dealing is a very important thing. And at the same time, a nation can become poor by buying of arms. You know very clearly, India was the topmost buyers of arms from America and from Europe, Rafael dealing, all these things. These are very clear symptoms of a sick society, sickening society. Forgotten world of today. Half of the people live in less than $2 a day today. The GDP of poorest 48 countries is less than the wealth of 3 richest people combined. 1 billion people are illiterate in the world. Why I am giving this, you may be familiar, but these are all basis of our argument for any project that you are undergoing. Any social activist should have these things in the fingertips. Less than 1% of what the world spends yearly on weapons would be enough for free education of all children of the world. Therefore, it's called give 1%. India is spending millions and millions of dollars. If they're able to allot 1% of all that is spent on military budget, they can educate all the girl children in India freely for first standard to 10th standard. No difficulty at all. 20% of developed countries consume 86% of world's goods. All these things you might be having some. So I'm just rushing up. There are two types of world. One is fast developing economy, and also the fast growing poor, totally disregarded. Every third person in India, this is an Indian situation, every third person is below poverty line. That means one third, that is $340 million people are below poverty line. According to Vajpayee, when he was prime minister, he told this in the assembly, in the parliament. So 300 million migrants are jobs for out for survival. In the video, you must have seen that we worked for the survival of these migrants. Very, very pathetic. They're walking nearly 700 kilometers. They're passing through our road nearby. So I went and gave something. At the same time, we rescued 300 migrants from Coimbatore. We sent back to Orissa. It's a tough job. A lot of things are there. Yesterday, we found the sisters, how the FMU sisters were rescuing the girls caught in state-to-state human trafficking. Very, very painful, very struggling, a lot of things. This is actually part of our growth. So, but we are giving importance to 1 to 2% of share mark holders. What Adani Ambani is undergoing, their economic problem becomes world's problem. Country's problem today. This is the shame of the society today. The starvation death. One farmer is committing suicide every 43 minutes in our country. I'm referring to India mostly, but the same thing is referring to all the developing countries. This is the status of all the developing countries. 1/3 of the people below poverty line. Healthcare. India spends only 4.4% of budget on total health. We all know that in your own country, you know the budgeting system, all connected to the money, rich and I think the poor people, health, education are all left alone, left below. Children who are constituting 40% of the Indian population, children receive only 5.3% of the national budget, 5.3%. So the Indian model, what is that? Enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killing in the conflict areas, reinforced by extraordinary power of the arrest, detention and immunity available to the security forces that you know that. Custodial torture on an average of 1.8 million people are victims of police torture and violence every year. The same thing in police torture, whether it's Sri Lanka, whether it's Pakistan, whether it's Bangladesh, African countries, as South American countries. These are like a sickness, similar sickness, a contagious disease. Another thing in Indian peculiar, not only India, South Asian countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, these 5 countries, and even Afghanistan, they share one common reality, the scheduled caste. The caste system, it's spread like a fire. It is a dominant thing. Even unworthy fellows are coming to the top because of the caste system. And also tribal people, they are undergoing a lot of problems. And also the minorities. Because of this, the only way of survival for a politician is bring out this extremism in the religious thing, because all these people are religiously very, very committed, very pious people. Wherever there's piety, too much of piety, too much of religiosity, there is also immorality and violence. Remember this. Wherever there's too much of piety, there's a lot of mistakes going on below that. Yes. Violence against women. Every 60 minutes, 2 women are raped. Every 6 hours, a young married woman is forced, beaten to death, burnt or alive to commit suicide. Discriminators are growing atrocity against the Dalit. One crime against the Dalit every 18 minutes. Every day, 3 rapes are there, 11 assaults, 13 murders. This is 2015 document. You can always go into the document, the Google, you will get all these facts and figures. The response of social, what is the response of social activists? One is, already, charity approach, like immediate relief, like drought, flood, earthquake, tsunami. Now at present, we are having this COVID-19. So there is a lot of people are suffering. We need to do we have to give them food. So that is there, but that is not lasting solution. Therefore, you have to come out to the second model, the developmental model, going to employment generation, typing, computer, technical knowledge, which will help them to stay and to thrive. But this is also not enough. So rights-based approach. What is human rights? They're taxpayers. They should get their welfare. The poor people pay the tax without cheating, but they are the one who's suffering. So therefore, human rights violation, they're all constitutional. They are inclusive. Therefore, we cannot say we have got always the support of the constitution. But when you speak about rights-based approach, it's not only for the government, not only for the people outside, sisters, fathers, brothers. Remember, as a social activist, you have the power in your hand because you can stay by the power of this constitution, your own congregation's constitution, your own the chapter decrees. If you go through, they'll always speak about priority to the poor. The founder's dream is always poor people's concern. The foundresses, always the congregation started to respond to the cry of the poor. The church remains responding to the cry of the poor. Jesus came and consoled and took up the issue of the cry of the poor, the rights of the poor. This is the basis of social doctrine of the church. The social doctrine, if at all there is a doctrine in the society, in the church, it is social doctrine. There's nothing called faith doctrine. There's nothing called pious doctrine. There's nothing called, nothing is making you to say, Novena, you have to do this one, you have to do that rosary so many times, you have to do all this. No. But social doctrine is obligatory. But you are the people, you and me, we are here to stand by this constitution of the church, which is church in the modern world, very clearly speaks, and also all the starting from rerum novarum until this fratelli, that fratelli tutti, all these things are speaking again and again the church's position for the poor, by the poor, of the poor. This is the relevance of the church. Therefore, we see CA is a charity approach. Second one, a development approach, rights-based approach, and faith-based approach. What is the specialty of the faith-based approach? The last becomes the first. The last becomes the first. Unto this last, that is Matthew chapter 20, 19, 16 says about this, the parable of this vineyard, and the last one becomes the first because they are the people, miserable people. They have to be given priority. If at all you are doing something social activities, if your congregation at the schools, bring your children from the slums. All these people say, fight for this because this is our congregation. Please educate our children. The poor people have got the right to be educated in our own schooling. The slum people, they're not only for local medium, but also for English medium. This is our duty. If at all you have got a social activist, check out how much they are paying for your cooks, how much they are paying for your watchmen, how much of their families are known to the brothers and sisters of our congregation, our community. This is where we have to show our power. This is prophetic. This may be painful, but it's always the case that we have to take the role into this. Therefore, in general, you will come across in Catholic social teaching, these are the basic things. First, speak about human dignity. For Prakash, Louise will be giving more details about that, which doctor speaks about that. Human dignity, common good, it's not private good, but common good. Then solidarity with the people, solidarity with the nature, and subsidiarity, respecting the lower one with their own rights. Then social order, we have to speak about social order, social justice. Purpose of the government, it's not just only for society, community, no, the whole government, we have to stand by government. That government is best that governs the least. Government is there for what? To take care of the poor people, to take care of, that is why all the community things, all the community welfares are taken care of by the government. That government is best that governs the least. That congregation is best that caters for the poorest and the marginalized. That religion is best that cares for the poorest and the neediest. This is what Jesus taught us. Therefore, there's a participation, there's a purpose of goods, there's an option for the poor and care for God's creation. This is in short, I'm speaking, why this social teaching of the church. You know, this all these things I'm going to give you. For Prakash Louise already in the class, in the room. Therefore, all these things, how much people, women are suffering, and what shall we do? How do we approach these people? Like, who are the people who are stakeholders, government officials, media personnel, police department, NGOs, SSG leaders, intelligence leaders, government medical doctors, lawyers, education department officials, political party leaders. All these people you have to network. Dear friends, if you don't do all this network, you will be doing some private ministry. No. Social work means you have to involve. This is inclusive. Government as well as church, again it says it is the right of the poor means everybody has got a duty to respond. Your principals, your provincials, your councillors, your generals, everybody has got the duty towards the poor and the top priority. This is the faith-based organization. Therefore, friends, I just end with this introduction. I invite Father Dr. Louise, Praksh Louise, an eminent person, very committed. He has been in the Indian Social Institute in Delhi. There are so many things you can speak of him. I want to say only two things, just two things. He was the director of the Indian Social Institute, Delhi. At that time, I used to invite him for several things. Now, one thing he said, Father, I never wanted to learn typing because if I learn typing, I'll be only working on this only for rich people. I'll be doing computer work. He never learned. He never went abroad, but he went to give talk abroad. He never went for higher studies, nothing. But a radical person. His talks, his books are excellent, very good one. Economics and Political Weekly, one of the topmost journals in India, the standard one is the Economic Political Weekly, which carries his articles. Therefore, that's more than enough for to say what kind of caliber with which we have got this Praksh Louise. Very difficult person. He has gone through the grassroots. He has addressed the bishops. He has addressed my commission, the Justice Peace Commission at the national level several times. Also, Right to Food campaign several times. And I'm very, very happy to welcome Father Praksh Louise. Father Praksh Louise, Dr. Praksh Louise, the floor is yours, Father. Thank you, friends. Mine, I'll send it to you later on tomorrow in your website. You'll be getting it. Thank you. Praksh Louise can switch on the thing. I'll put out my sharing. Thank you.
Father Nithiya asked me to talk on Catholic social teachings, and I have also subtitled it towards a Catholic faith in action. It's not only a teaching, but it is also something to be converted into action. Basically, what I want to share with you, its place and role in an Indian Christian's life and mission. I partly saw what Father Nithiya was sharing with you all with regard to the social commitment, also the relief work done, the rehabilitation during the crisis, especially with the migrants, and also our own commitment as priests and religious, as Christians in India. So this is what basically I want to share with you, what it has taught us in terms of teachings. Yes, Father Nithiya, the next slide.
Okay.
It is not just a book to be read. Yeah, can you? So Catholic social teachings, you will see that in various forms. Next. The next slide.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the book that I brought out a year ago. I called it Catholic social. One slide before Father Nithiya. Yeah. This is the book that I brought out, Catholic Social Teachings Towards a Catholic Faith in Action. So basically, it tries to explain what I am trying to talk to you. Yeah, next. Yeah. So these are the themes, running themes, but I have developed the themes into 15. Human dignity, common good, solidarity, subsidiarity, participation, stewardship, preferential option for the poor. And the social teachings always what is the best for everyone, and people should have a say in their life. Every human being should have a say in their life, and we need to care for the earth, since that is our common destiny. We need to care for the earth, and everyone is special. All of us are special because God created in His own image and likeness, and it is the human dignity and human right which is central to Christianity, and Catholicism in a very special way upholds human dignity and human rights. And we are all one big family, whether human beings, whether small, big, whichever caste, class, religion we belong to, we all belong to one family, and we all want to work and contribute to our communities, whichever families, communities, nations, societies we belong. Some people need extra help because They are vulnerable, they are marginalized, they are excluded, they are invisible, they are in the periphery, they are in the borders. And that is why today all the Catholics and Christians are asked to be people on the frontiers, in the borders, so that we are able to do the work. And I have come here with some colleagues of an organization who work only for the education of the Dalits and the tribals. That is a preferential option made for the group of people who are basically not given the opportunity for education. Yeah, next. Yeah, there are key principles of Catholic social teachings. You would repeatedly see it, because I think that's how we get really, and as St. Ignatius said, repetition is the mother of learning. So basic themes that run through in this is human dignity, common good, solidarity especially with the poor and the marginalized, the vulnerable and the excluded, solidarity with the migrants, solidarity with all those who are made to walk 2,000, 3,000 kilometers during this lockdown. And many of you were involved both in southern India, northern India, both from place of origin and the destination. Subsidiarity, what one should do at the higher level, the other person should not do at the lower level. So that is a social order, which also brings up an order which is equal to all. And the purpose of the government is to not just govern, but to give good governance, so that people find whatever they need. And participation in everything. A child participates in a family, a human being participates in the society, in the nation, and also participating in politics. And social life is not sin. It is integral part of human life, and now Christians are asked to move. The purpose of goods, all that is given is we are only stewards given by God, so that we keep them, use them, and use them for the sake of others. Our option for the poor and care for God's creation. These are the running themes that the popes over the years, as Father Nithiya mentioned, from Rerum Novarum, over the years, these have been highlighted by Catholics and Christians. So these are some of the names of the Catholic social teachings, or what is known as encyclicals. Encyclicals are well thought out letters by documents by the popes. And you look at the concern of the church. One was Rerum Novarum, condition of labor. Then the other one was reconstruction of the social order. I won't go into the Latin version, because neither you understand nor I understand. Then Christianity and social progress, and peace on earth, very well brought out. And then church in the modern world. This was the conference that was organized by all the bishops of the world, and they talked about peace, and peace that comes from development, peace that is not a graveyard peace, but a peace that comes from equality and unity. Development of people, call to nation, and Pope Paul VI said, development of all people and all development of people. It is integral, total, holistic development. And Christians are called to an action which is imbibed from the Bible, or the action that is for social development and growth. And popes also had a conference called Justice in the Modern World, how justice has to be spelled out. Evangelization in the modern world, it cannot be just preaching and trying to convert people, but it is evangelizing, and during the course of evangelization, the evangelizer himself gets evangelized on human work and construction and social concern, right through running this team, and also 100th anniversary of the Rerum Novarum, condition of labor. Once again, the popes reiterated what they mentioned. And yeah, next slide. Yeah. So this is a slide that talks about, so what is a Catholic social teaching? The church has never failed to speak the words, that are heard with regard to questions concerning the life in the society. The Pope Leo the 13th in 1890 talked about this. The church always speaks wherever social concern is there. And the church's social teaching is not only a doctrine or a book to be published and kept in the shelf, but it is a way of life. We are asked to be imbibed by it, inspired by it. And the church's teaching itself is a kind of worship. It is not just something to be followed, but a place where all the people are called to labor, to bring a better earth and better heaven. If we don't build a better earth, no one is sure of heaven, because in the earth we know, if we build a better earth, and we are sure God will give us also better heaven. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, the principles of social doctrines of the church. Sorry, the one before. The principal social doctrines of the church are confirmed and strengthened in the gospel. It is not taken from anywhere else. It is in the gospel and the faith of the church. In this light, men and women are invited to discover themselves as transcendent beings, including those related to social, economic, political context. It stresses dignity of work, dignity of human beings, because everyone is made in the image and likeness of God, which runs through in all the Catholic social teaching. It's the destiny to bring human beings to fulfillment. God created us to be fuller human beings. Hence, no one can stop us to be beings. And priority of capital and right to share in the fruits of the work. Everybody has the right. If they work, they should also be the owners of the outcome of the work. Yeah, next. Yeah. It is not some strange document to be discussed in a seminar like this. It is not the communication of church leadership to be received and displaced or misplaced. It is not a document that is prerogative of the clergy. Only priests and religious get some information about it. Lay people do not get. Now at least there is some attempt to make this available to the lay people, to the youth, to women, everyone. But in the past this was not done. It is not some pious catechism where you say Pita, Putra and afterwards you do not follow what the popes are saying. But it is to be put in action. That's what we will see. What CST is. Yeah, next. So how it came about? This is encyclical letter, means a circular. Every diocese, every province congregation sends circulars to their people. So church used this method, this formula to communicate the values it stands. The popes, after reflecting, talking to various people, have been saying like this on themes that are very important to the church and to human beings. It started in the 18th century, and that's why it is more a solemn treatment of more important problems. And popes also suggest solutions, as they Laudate and also the Pro Tutuli. Yeah, next. Encyclicals are the church's institutional response. If the Pope sends us encyclical, it is not his letter, it is not his circular, it is church. So, theology not in the classroom, but theology among the people. Others even consider as strategic theology, theology that forces us to move into action. Next. How did it come up? Sorry, move to the next. I think we can skip some of these. Next. Yeah. The social teachings of the church is a rich heritage of ethical reflection, what is good and what is not good. It is also a past experiment. Social doctrine of the church. During his leadership, all the six expected and urged the church to become a loving and serving church, not a church which is elite, which does not bother about the least tribal women, children, youth, but a church which is loving and also a serving church. It took three initiatives and that was also followed in all the countries. Number one, Pope Paul organized 3 synods, one in 69, 71, 74, dealt with the issues that are related to human development, well-being, and dignity. You will see these themes running through. And his address to the National and Regional Conference of Bishops encouraged and directed them to give the poor and the oppressed central place in their pastoral concern. That the poor and the oppressed should have a central place in all the pastoral concern, educational, economic, political, cultural, medical, health, everywhere the poor should get the priority of place. But we have cheated Jesus for last 2000 years. Now the popes are saying, get back to the roots, get back to the original, and the poor should get the priority of place. And that's why social teachings matter. Yeah, next. The third one, he established a pontifical commission of justice and peace in 1967. I think it is in that, when I was in the Indian Social Institute and Father Nithiya was in the CBCI in the Justice and Peace Commission, we met together. And let me also say, I think that was a glorious period for both of us, both the institutions, because he really 140 dioceses. He got 100 dioceses or so to appoint Justice and Peace Commission and also bring the youth, the poor, everything. So the purpose of this commission is full mission. That's what in the encyclical called Populorum Progressive number 9. And the name of this commission, Justice and Peace, today Pope Francis has retermed this as a Integral Human Development Commission. So justice aptly describes its program and goal: humans' complete development and development of all human beings. It is not some people who develop. Yes, a small group of 10-20%, Ambanis, Adanis, Tatas, Birlas in this country who are developed, but every child born in this country should develop, whether Catholic, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, every one of them, every background, especially those who are for centuries have been displaced, oppressed, and that is a group that, let me also say, when the Kandhamal incident took place, many of you will not know this. Father Nithiya was the Justice and Peace Commission. I was in Bihar working. Father Kasman was in charge of the CBCI Dalit and Tribal Commission, and we joined together and organized, took up the issue of the Kandhamal. We brought the bishop after 2 months to Delhi for 3 days, solidly discussed, made the bishops to be bold, not to be frightened, and stand together and oppose these fascist forces. Then we had another meeting in Calcutta where we brought lay people from Kandhamal, Odisha, all the 6 dioceses, again motivated them, stood with them. Then we had a meeting in Cuttack itself, and where we once again, so that is how Father Nithiya and some of us work to ensure these social teachings are carried forward. Yeah, Father Nithiya, next. So what is the mission of this doctrine? To achieve the same purpose and goal, the CBCI, Catholic Bishops' Conference, also established number 1, Caritas India in 1962. Now it is operative in almost 170 dioceses, and also Commission for Justice and Peace and Development in 1972, which Father Nithiya ably handled for about 10 years. Yeah, okay. Next.
I will encomplete something.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, the Pope now rechristened it, renamed it, Promoting Integral Human Development by Pope Francis 2016, and especially for those who are excluded, marginalized. Refugees, migrants, his first concern. His concern for justice and peace, migration, health, charitable works, and the care of the creation. And all of these not based on anything else, but based on gospel values. And for us Indians, it is based on gospel values as well as the Constitution of India. Next. So what is integral human development? It maintains relationship with the Conference of Bishops offering them its cooperation so that values related to justice and peace as well as the care of creation may be promoted. It also expressed the Holy Father's care for suffering humanity, people who suffer. It is not people who are well, have everything, enjoy life, but suffering humanity, including the needy, the sick and the excluded, and pay special attention to needs of issues, those who are forced to live in poverty, migrate, in distress. So I think this is what this particular department speaks. So faith and social commitment are integral part of Christian life. You cannot have faith and say that I am not socially committed. You can't be socially committed unless your faith motivates. It is that manifesto that he talked about in Luke Gospel chapter 5, where he gives his manifesto. I am sent to liberate these people. I am sent to give eyes. I am sent to give limbs. I am sent to give legs. I am sent to be their voice. And that is what this faith and social commitment, integral part of Christian social teaching and also supposed to be part of our life. Otherwise, we fail Jesus. And the church in the modern world, what Vatican Council too, clearly says we cannot divide ourselves between faith, and we say we are very good Christians. We have faith in Jesus, but our life does not get communicated in action to the poor, the marginalized, the Dalits, the tribals, the minorities, women, children. If it doesn't get converted into that, we are into trouble. So I think those cannot be separated. They all have to be part of this. Faith, where there is faith, there is social commitment. Yeah. No false opposition between professional and social activists. If you are doing good to people, no bishop, no priest, no provincial can call you that you are a social worker, you are a priest. Every one of us is called. So Christians who neglect their temporal duties, that is, if they are not helping those who are weak, those who are marginalized, they will not get eternal salvation. Jesus said, even a camel can enter into the needle, eye, but they will not enter into heaven because they have social commitment to the poor and the marginalized. Excluded is not there. So we cannot, it is not enough merely to formulate a social doctrine. It must be translated into reality, into action, and whether in your education ministry, social ministry, health ministry, formation ministry, administration, social concerns have to be the primary and predominant. Yeah, next. So there are three stages which follows in reduction of the social principle. One reviews the concrete situation. Whenever popes wrote, they took the present situation and they wrote. Then form a judgment. This is a situation. There is something wrong here. There is something that we need to work out. So they form judgment. And one decides what in this circumstance each of us individually and collectively as members believing in Christ should do. So these three stages are usually expressed in three terms: observe, judge, and act. So it leads to action. It cannot be a reaction. Yeah, next. Yeah, so see, judge, and act continues to be. So this is the pastoral cycle, reflecting on one's own experience and analyzing our experience and the wider implications. Then consideration and engaging in appropriate action so as to bring about change for a better world, better humanity, better children, better women, and better Christians on the earth. Yeah, next. Yeah. So what is the social teachings? What are the, what is it? So yeah, I will reach the hotel. Once I reach the hotel, I will be able to comparatively speak better. So anyway, it is seen here, the central aspects communicated to the popes on major themes. They took the theme of the time, and this present pope earlier wrote on youth, and then he wrote on environment, and now he has written common life of all, one humanity, one destiny, one goal. And what is expected of us as Christians? Every encyclical turns to us and tells, this is what the situation is, this is our analysis is, this is what we are offering to you, and this is what is expected of you. Kindly do what is in you. Next. Yeah. So it's all a personal and internalizing. We need to read these encyclicals and also reflect over them and see where we are. And reflections and sharing in groups, not only individually, as Christians, we as a group, we share, we pray over them. We ask Christ, we ask the Holy Spirit to give us the insight into this and identifying concrete responses. In our situation, what is the best that we can do to children, women, youth, Dalits, tribals, Christian minorities, Muslim minorities? Create a positive space for faith sharing. We need to ask the participants to observe these simple guidelines. If I take a class for you, this is what I would have done. Listen carefully in that group sharing. Use I-sent statements. Do not speak for them. Ensure the participation or stay on the topic and stay focused on Hope's message. Be respectful to each other. Next. I think we can, yeah. So you will see different books. Next, we can go to the next slide for the next PPT. Sorry, Sandeep and Jay. How much time do you have for Nithiya?
For that?
How much time do we have?
We have 15 minutes more, 15-20 minutes. That is till 7:30. But if they want to ask some questions, otherwise you got half an hour.
Yeah. So another 10 minutes. If we can go into the other PPT on roles and responsibilities.
Yes, okay. I'll just go into that. Human dignity, rights and responsibilities. Okay. So to be in summary, the social doctrine of the church is as old as the Bible. It's very clear. Because God always listened to the cry of the poor. It is starting from Adam, Eve, Abel's blood, cry for the poor, cry for their rights, everything is there. This is continuing. Repeat, you will see in the Old Testament, do not ill-treat the widows, orphans, migrants, refugees, and the physically challenged. All these people are cursed people in the society. But repeatedly, God says, remember, you were slave once. You were all down. Now you are oppressed. Now you don't oppress other people. This is a cry of the poor. All the prophets are repeatedly telling, this is the doctrine of the Bible. The Bible is cry of the poor, responding to the prayer, cry of the poor, the rights of the poorest and the marginalized. How will a person become poor? This is the question. Many of us don't join with the illiterate people who say the poor people are poor because of laziness. Never. The poor people are made poor by the moneyed people. Maybe some exceptions will be there generally for the poor people. They are structural poverty. They are not allowing others to grow in life. Therefore, the poverty, the rich man becomes the St. Ambrose verse I'm telling you. If you are rich, surrounded by several people, either you are a cheat, or your father must be a robber, or your grandfather must be a scoundrel. This is St. Ambrose telling. Because a rich man becoming a richer and richer, surrounded by the poor people, is a cheat. It's a shame to say that I'm rich in today's context. It's a shame for a religious congregation to say our religious congregation, rich congregation, it's a shame. It's against the Bible. It is against the mind of Jesus. It's against the mind of God. God is always solidarity. Therefore, the Catholic social teachings going backward to the real mind of God, to the real heart of God that cries for the lost sheep, the marginalized, the suffering, the unwanted, the rejected ones. I think this is what you and me, we are struggling. We are actually crying again and again, take care of these people. You may be getting bad names. You remember all your bad names because of you are siding with the poor sisters, poor people sisters, fathers. all of you. This is always the case of all the social activists. You have the longing for them. You might be a clever person. You could have been easily a principal. You can be easily a wonderful doctor, but you preferred to be with the people. But the society in general thinks the social workers are low category. They don't know proper knowledge. They just go and spend some time and coming back. Whereas we are teachers, we get a lot of money. We bring in money for the people. For who cares your money? Are you with the people? Bringing money is not the point. Are you amidst the people, amidst the poorest people in their sufferings? This is the thing on which you will be judged. When you go to heaven, all the social workers, no purgatory, go straight to heaven because you all suffered enough. Yes. Other people will be judged because you are going to, the 2 days later, you are going to, the kingdom of God is judged on your social involvement. Social involvement. That is actually the courage. So, Sister Belinda, your question is that in just, this is the Old Testament cry, the prophets cry, Jesus cry, and therefore the church also cries the cry of the oppressed. Solidarity means solidarity with the last one, the least one first. That is the Matthew 20:16 speaks about unto this last. That is the Sarvodaya, welfare of all people. If this is, Sarvodaya is not possible unless you start with the least person first. That's called unto this last. That's the Antyodaya. You must have read a lot about this. Sarvodaya shops, and it's meant for the poor people, welfare of all people. We are not rejecting the rich people, but starting point is the poor people. That is where you and me are in the social apostolate, social uplift, social sufferings. We are always siding with
clarification.
Yes.
I wanted to get to know the project writing.
Yes, sister. This is a very long process. To be in short, writing. I'm not a project writer. I am against the projects, but but I organize for the need of the congregations. But the point is this: method is who, what, where, when, why, how. Remember these questions. These questions remember. What do you want to do? For whom you want to address? Why you want to do this? That's called all your doctrines. Why you want to do this? Where you specifically want to do? What is the time bound? That's what is the duration for which you want to do? How much is the time? What is the expected results? And what is strategy you are following? I think this is in short, you can remember the whole thing. And another thing is the appraisal of your people. They make a data collection of what's really happening. Like the social research people, they'll be doing this. The research of social degree, what is the actual problem that's going on in your people? You have a third eye, sisters and brothers. You have a third eye. Normal 2 eye, the third eye is the eye for the poor, eye for the suffering, eye for women. Women is a very big issue, vast topic. Take up one particular issue. One other thing that I wanted to speak is the right to food, food security act. There's so many things government has given. And the new food right also, there is a lot of things connected with the ration card, old age pension, widow's pension, physically challenged people, their pension, primitive tribals, all of them have got their basic right to receive some money every month. Also, the rice and the other things. These are not available for many people. Even today, there are so many things are given to the people during the pandemic, COVID, but not reached. So we are the ones to take them to the people, to the collectorate, to the refugee, beg them to speak. You don't need to speak. You just tell them these are the method. You teach them. But knowledge is power. Knowledge is money. Once you give them the teaching, they'll be able to do that. If a particular village, 10 people are not getting the thing, go to the village VAO, administrative officer. So these are the method you can get where people can get once and for all. So once I was in a Madras, one particular parish, I started this old age pension, widow's pension. 400 people applied, 400 people. And the local, the MLA, councilman was a particular political man. And he was very shy to speak also in public. I brought him. You know what happened? That age is very important. The old age pension, 63, 65. You know what he said? Father, you don't worry, Father. If they're 63, 64 also, give that. I will get signature and let them get the money. So these are this is typically what the Bible, the wise man read the Bible, the similar thing. There are people to support you. That's the Sister and Sister Ekta and the group. They're getting the support of RSS people, BJP people who are supporting. They brought facility of the water facilities to all the slum people, children. The tailoring machine is there. So how it is possible? The heart is with everybody. The rich or poor, you don't need to bother. You need to everybody, and we are the bridges. We are the bridge. The poor people cannot go to rich directly. We can be a bridge to bring them economic bridge, social bridge, and cultural bridge. Okay, sister. This is one thing. The rights, there are five rights you have to speak about. Civil rights and political rights. This is connected with the peace building, life, and other things. Other things are social rights, economic rights, cultural rights. Social rights, ups and downs. Okay. Economic rights, the rejection of the poverty and other things. Then cultural rights are the specific rights of minorities, religious, all those people. On these 5 areas only, most of your rights, your projects will be made. So when you ask the project, you also know the agency's expectation, and you enter into let it be tally with each other. I think this much is enough. I think.
So rights and responsibilities, and the Catholic tradition teaches that human dignity can be protected and a healthy community can be achieved only if human rights are protected and responsibilities are met. That our rights and responsibilities. So yeah, let's go to the next. Yeah, next. So therefore, every person has a fundamental right to life. What is human right? Right to live as a human being is human right. The right to live as a human being is human right. If the right to live in whether it is social, economic, cultural, religious, linguistic, educational, health, if any of these sectors it is violated. See, since the railway fares are increased, but provisions are not made, and these are the workers who are traveling like this in many parts of India. Next. While the poor suffer like this, you see, even for food, and that is in Tamil, then crores of rupees, 3,000 crores was spent to erect this statue, and whereas many crores of children do not have enough to eat. So I think the caption says we need to reflect, and especially as priests and religious, we need to reflect more. Yeah, next. Yeah, so violation of the rights of the children and labor laws, especially no child labor, but at the same time, you see the children, and this is only one image, and I'm sure you have many more images where the rights of the children are violated. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the Global UN Declaration in 1948 brought it out, and National Human Rights Commission in 1993 as the what is known as National Institution or Human Rights Institution. Similarly, state human rights are there. And it is time that we enter into these commissions, be prepared right from the seminary, novitiate, and so on, to enter into many of these bodies so that we are able to uphold the rights of people. Okay, next. Next slide. Yeah. Okay, so when you talk about the rights, sorry, the one before this, the issue will be missed out. Yeah, the right of the poor, the least, and the weak are unrecognized and violated. They are all in the Constitution. So what does Catholic social teaching say? Church, by denouncing and proclaiming, become the judge and defender. We are asked to be defender of rights of the poor and the marginalized. Next. And the issue too, next slide, that the Catholic social teaching response. Next slide, please. Yeah, the solemn proclamation of human rights is contradicted by the painful reality of violation. We all talk about upholding the rights, but at the same time we violate. What is a central theme is the responsibility. Fundamental rights include the right to food, water, clothing, shelter, and dignified work and life. And we have a responsibility to ensure all these rights. A right as presented in the Catholic teaching is a moral claim that is based on one's dignity. I am created in the image and likeness of God, hence I have the right to live as I want. First, civil and political rights, freedom of speech, freedom assembly, and other fundamental human rights that are given in the Human Rights Charter. Yeah, next. In the form of immunity from unjust, nobody can interfere in my right. They imply a moral claim against others in society, preventing them from unnecessarily limiting one's basic freedom. Yes, next. So levels of right, personal right, these belong to every human being, you and me, and create duties which bind other persons, society, state to fulfill. As a human being, I have right, and it also brings in duty on the other persons, family members, friends, relatives, society, church, state, fulfill these. The right relates to the personhood, right to dignity, reputation, etc. Also right to safety and security, bodily protection, and well-being. Yeah, that is the one level of the rights. Then second is a social right. As human beings, we are also social beings. These are positive obligation on society towards all its members. That means every member is equal. That member cannot be kept high or low. All are equal. This is also known as socio-economic and cultural right. The right to an adequate standard of living. We work, our people work, but they don't get enough wages. Hence, they do not have a standard of living. The right to social protection, all the policies and schemes, protection, right to work and right to get paid for the work that everyone does. Yeah, next. Then institutional rights are realized and mediated through institutions such as the state, that the government of India has the right and obligation to take care of our food, roti, kapda, makan, as we say, the basic needs to live as a. So this deals with the right to be human, dignified, respectful treatment from abuse, neglect by all the church institutions, state institutions, societal institutions. Similarly, every priest and religious is to be protected by the institution that they belong to. Yeah, next. So Pope Benedict XVI said, life of the community, both domestically and internationally, clearly demonstrates that respect for rights and the guarantees that follow them are measures of common good. If rights are well respected, there is common good. If one person in a family or society is ill-treated, then there is no right. So to evaluate the relationship between justice and injustice, development and poverty, security and conflict, both these go hand in hand. Yeah, next. So rights in Caritas in Veritate, the right to food like the right to water has an important place within the pursuit of other rights, beginning with the fundamental right. This also in the number 27 in Caritas in Veritate, our own constitution speaks it. Openness to life at the center of true development. By cultivating openness to life, wealthy people can promote virtuous action. So life given by God will continue only if the right of that person is not violated, but it is upheld. Yeah, next. Move to the next slide. This is same I explained. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I have the right to be loved and respected, fundamental to every human being. I have the right to special care for special needs. Also have the responsibility to show love and respect to others. I have the responsibility to be the best I can. So all these indicate not just wishes, but the rights of every human being on the earth created by God. Yeah. Next. So Father Nithiya, you can tell me whenever it is time so that people can carry on with their other things. So rights promoted and defended by the church. Okay, the right to life, food and shelter, these are the rights promoted by the church. The right to private property, everyone has the right to hold. Nobody can walk over. The right to choose one's state of life. The right to a living wage, a wage that is living wage, that takes care of the need of a person and a family. And the right to a just wage, not only a living wage, a just wage, because workers are workers, they work. The right of workers to form unions and groups to defend their rights. Yeah. These are also in the Indian constitutions. The right to life and worthy standard of living. People should have a standard of living which is not animal. It's a human being. Right to moral and cultural values. For us to hold on to our religion of Christianity, to Christ, and all that the gospel says is our right. Nobody can take that away from us, which attempt is being made more and more. The right to worship according to one's conscience, whichever place and form of worship any Indian wants to do, that right has to be promoted. The right to freely choose one state of life, establish a family, to live as a human being and to live in a family. Yeah, next. The right to emigrate and immigrate, to become migrants. This Pope repeatedly talks and works for their favor. The right to rest and relaxation and recreation. The right to a work that is not harmful. So I cannot be forced to a job like a manual scavenging and so on, which Dalits are forced in many situations. Next. Yeah, the right to appropriate subsidies for unemployed workers. That is the right to work. So families should have, even if they don't work, they should get enough pension to carry on that. The right to a pension in old age, Father Nithiya explained, many of us struggle with that. Elderly people deserve, as well in the COVID time, they need additional provisions to take care of their own needs. Yeah. So the right to social security connected with maternity leave, and also provision those days, they should be paid for taking that leave. Right to assemble and form association, assemble to worship, to pray, also form various associations, run schools, hospitals, health institutions, social work, right to religious freedom, right to development, right to freedom of expression and thought. These days, if anyone has a different idea that India is secular, India is democratic, and those people are put behind the bars, you know those. And right to private initiative and accountability. Yeah, next. So these are some categories: civil rights, political rights, social rights, cultural rights, economic rights, and religious rights. All these can be clubbed under fundamental rights of human beings, because fundamentally they are created by God in his own image, and he has given the right to live as human beings, as his children, as his sons and daughters. Nobody can deny that. So right is integrally connected with dignity, and Catholic social teaching repeatedly brings this out. Bestowed on human beings by God, grounded in the nature and dignity of the people. So rights and dignity go hand in hand for us Christians. They are not created by society. They are created by God. It is very nature of every human person, because it is in the very nature of God himself. Yeah. So these are the basic baseline, a set of minimum conditions for social justice. Our rights consist of economic rights such as food and shelter. We have done it. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on to something more. So the US bishops, very, very strong and powerful, much better than Catholic Bishops Conference of India, repeatedly take up issues like that. Rights to life, food, clothing, shelter, rest, medical care, basic education. US bishops have been very much in the forefront with regard to Catholic social teaching, and they fight with their president for ensuring this. In order to ensure these necessities, a person has the right to earn a living. So if you don't work, you cannot. If you can't earn a living, you cannot take care of your families, and that way rights are violated. Next. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on. These are similar things according to the numbers. So there are three types of citizenship, which is very important in India today. Civic citizenship, equality before law, liberty of persons, citizens, freedom of speech, etc. There is a political citizenship, right to participate in elections, to vote and to be voted to power, and also social citizenship, right to a certain standard of economic, social welfare, well-being. All these form under the citizenship. Today we may have the right to vote, but we may not have the right to vote someone out because they have not really been doing for work. We are called equal before law, but if a Christian applies for minority rights in their institutions, these are not provided today. So there are denial of rights, which also needs to be fought collectively. Yeah, next. So responsibilities, 4 areas to be kept in mind. The demand for rights cannot be extended to false autonomy. I am a human being. I have all the right. I don't bother about others' right. My right also cannot be autonomous. Not just rights, but responsibilities also equally essential and needed in life. Yeah. Third one, next. So invites our attention to public debate in many nations and societies where our responsibility is fulfilled. It is a responsibility of lay people to engage in building, organizing, and taking care. Yeah, next. So, human solidarity, which benefits us all. Many people today would claim that, oh, nothing to anyone, I owe nothing to anyone. They are concerned only with their rights, but rights cannot be lived alone. It has to be lived in human society. Hence, responsibility is also equally important. And I think we are slowly losing that ground. Yeah. Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. It's something similar in that. And last few slides we can. Let's move on. This also. So what is the biblical base for rights? The one slide before that. Okay, let's stick to this. A biblical base for speak up for those who cannot speak. That's a Proverb 31, 8, 19 talks. Exodus, you shall not afflict any widow or orphan. In the Old Testament, we keep on hearing widows, orphans, strangers, do not do just injustice to them, for I am their God. You were also a stranger, wanderer one time, but I have given you land where milk and honey flows. So I think that is where this is also, so there is a biblical base for rights. Okay, next. Similarly, there is a biblical base for duties. You shall not afflict any widow, orphan, stranger, Exodus. Honor your father and mother. Your days may be prolonged in the land of the Lord. Exodus again. The rich man has a responsibility to care for Lazarus. Luke 16. The husband must fulfill his duty to his wife. Likewise, also wife to her husband. Corinthians. Yeah. So what is expected of us? Fall the 6th. In Gaudium et Spes, call the attention of all the Christians. It is very important, especially where pluralistic society prevails, there be correct notion of the relationship between the political community and the church. Next. And a clear distinction between the task which Christians undertake individually as a group and their own responsibility as citizens. We cannot wait. As citizens, we have to be guided by Christian conscience, but engage in political activities, social activities for our own liberation and saving and promoting, developing growth of the people as pastors of Christ, our great shepherd and pastor. Okay.
So I think so much, Father Praksh, Louise, very, very good. And dear friends, today you have got any questions for maybe some 5 minutes, you can ask some questions, you can write or raise your hand. And you remember there are some, I think, more than 20 types of rights here Father Prakash has given. Each one is a very, very good base for a wonderful project. You focus on particular right, particular issue, and develop into a rights-based model. and there will be a lot of support for you to take up the issue, because there's really a rights violation. It's a big issue in the country, in all our countries, in all our developing countries. I thank you, Father Prakash, Louise, for this wonderful presentation, not only the social teaching of the church, but also the status of the country. And now the floor is yours, friends. Ask any questions, or you can raise your hand for the Ben. You can continue, Father.
Yes, Father. Yeah, friends, if you have any clarification or intervention, you can just unmute and ask to Father Prakash.
You may also ask questions on some projects also. Father is good also in that guidance. What type of things you want to ask. Also some agencies.
Maybe
We
people
can have one
are
more
tired
minute
and
and
fun.
close down. Yes.
Yeah.
It seems to be a wonderful silence, and seems to be exhausted, or you're still reflecting. Whatever be the thing, friends, don't worry. I think there is a lot of requests from your side to have a little more on project writing, project clarity, what type of expectations are there from the part of the NGOs or donor agencies. I think we'll focus on that, because there are some techniques have changed a lot, not like earlier times. Secondly, economic crunch. A lot of countries, they are not receiving support to give. Actually, there's on the whole, there's a very big issue. Therefore, based on that, we are planning to have maybe a 3-day training. If you are really interested, let me know. You can send in the WhatsApp group also. You can send, so that we'll collect all those things. What are the things you want us to take forward? Next one. So
Yeah,
this
I can also contribute in that, Father Nithiya. I can contribute how to proceed, what to do, what are the constraints, what are the possibilities, and what are the challenges. It will help them to, because bhuke bhajan na hoi Gopala, we say in Hindi, without money nothing can be done. Hence, as the situation changes, better people are prepared to mobilize local resources as much as possible with all this FCRA amendment. But there are other possibilities for which we can work out. I will be happy to help out in whatever way possible. Thank you, all of you. All
Thank you for this wonderful thing. I think Prakash Louise will be a very good support for all of you, friends. And we'll have one or 2 days session with him, so that he'll be able to give us the present situation, what type of things will work for your social undertakings. That's one thing. This particular PowerPoint, we'll be sending it to you. I think towards the end, I think 10 minutes before, he was speaking about several rights. Please go through that rights. You focus on one thing that is available in your area, develop into an issue, find out the violations, and find out the alternative contribution, and see also how this can be sustained. Also, please go through MDG, SDGs. I think you are familiar with the MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, and the Sustainable Development Goals. These are also very, very important, because our South Asian countries are the worst affected. The highest number of maternity death, the highest number of child mortality, the highest number of exploitation, women exploitation, everything in India is topping #1. Therefore, it's a terrible thing. I think the similar thing also in South Asian countries, also in African countries. Therefore, a lot of things can be done. It's much more opportunities are available for us.
Father Nithiya?
Yes, Father Van? Yes. Jamaica.
Yes. Can I talk to Father Prakash?
Yes, sir.
The question is, as a religious goal is uphold the dignity of humanity as Jesus did. However, how can we integrate the spreading the gospel by evangelization in this modern world? Particularly, there are so many denominations, so many religions is competing in the world.
Number one, I think we need to have a broader perspective of evangelization. If we understand, there are many understanding of evangelization. If we understand evangelization to be an act of a Christian to share the gospel and the gospel values, and to also share Jesus Christ, his personhood as a person of liberator, a person who unifies, a person who brings salvation and liberation to everyone and to everything, then I think in that background, in that viewpoint, in that understanding of evangelization, one can engage in social commitment, one can engage in social activities, one can engage in social action and social action for integral human development. Because what Christ came to preach, what Christ came to offer, what Christ came to live on the earth was integral human development. So if that broader perspective is there, we can surely carry out preaching Christ, even taking his name, or in given situation without taking his name, preaching the values he stood, above all, living in our own lives the values that he stood for, and that becomes the witness value for those people who want to know Christ, follow Christ, and among them, those who want to get baptized and become part of the Christian community, that is fine, or the others who would like to live the values of Christ without even coming under the umbrella of the so-called official church, then it is. I think this is the understanding with which we live and work in India, and especially in northern part of India where Christianity is less. And also there is a group of people in northern India, some parts where they are known as Christ Bhaktas, that is followers of Christ, who never get converted but believe in Christ alone. They do not believe in church. They do not believe in official church. They do not want anything from the church. They only want the healing touch of Christ, healing power of Christ, and also a Christ who listens to them in all the ways that. So in that broader perspective, one can understand. If the evangelization is understood as we call in lighter term, pouring water and bringing them under the fold, having them registered in our registers, then we will first and foremost get into problem with many denominations of Christians. We'll get in problem with the governments. We'll get in problem with the fascist fundamental religious forces which is spreading in many parts of the world, not just in India, many parts of the world. Father Van, this is my understanding, and this is how I have lived, and this is how I have thousands of people who through me have come to know Christ without ever becoming Christians.
Thank you, Father Prakash. I'm in a situation I'm in Jamaica, the West Indies, Caribbean countries.
Caribbean,
Here the situation is, particularly where I am, is a Protestant country. The Catholicism is about 2% only. But I have a lot of problem to go through, but they come for the help to the Catholic Church. Once they get the help and then go back and they just live as they feel like living. So, of course, our basic thing is to develop the human dignity and provide the necessary things and trying to work on that along with the government. But yet, our basic priority as a religious people, we also have our own goal of bringing the gospel across. That is where the problem arises.
Yeah, I understand, because each of these denominations understand evangelization in very different ways. And for when this is going to become all the more problematic, because evangelization is also, I'm sorry to say it, for many of these church people, many of these denominations, I hope that doesn't happen to Catholicism. It is also the number of people you baptize, and your money is allotted accordingly. The number of people a pastor or a priest baptizes and brings under his fold, and then the remuneration is according. A church is built or money is given for developmental works. If that is the case, competition for what I call sheep stealing will be and is very high, and that will create problem within the, it is also in some parts of India, and this is where more than people of other religion, it is people among ourselves who are going to create problem. This has to be faced differently. Attempt has to be made to talk to these denominations, pastors individually, and see how we work out an alternative way of spreading Christ and evangelizing. This is how I understand, Father Ban.
Okay. Thank you so much, Father Prakash.
Welcome. We can be in touch, we can share. Father Nithiya can share our emails,
Yes, so, which province are you from?
I belong to the Patna province, northern India, though, Patna. Though I originally from southern part, but I moved to north, and I have a combination of north and south extremely well. That's why I could articulate things, speak both in many languages because of that. Thank you.
That's good.
There
are many students, companions studied with me in Satyanilayam from Patna province.
Okay. Good to hear that. Yes.
Thank you so much, Father.
Welcome, Father. Welcome.
Wonderful.
Father Nithiya, we can.
Yes. Friends, I think everything. Father Ben, is it okay that we
send it through Colin today?
Father Ben?
She's coming for the
yes, Father.
I think we'll conclude because I think it's already time. Dear friends, I want to thank you, and especially I want to thank Father Ben. Father Ben, can you come online?
Yes, Father.
Ben is actually our host who has been helping us in all the meetings, and he's a pastor in Madurai, some 300 kilometers from where I am. But is very grateful to Father Ben and for Mr. Dr. Kamaraj, who has always given us in the beginning. And we also have got an excellent team of resource persons. I am very, very happy. This particular week has been an extraordinarily wonderful group, very good experts. You can always be in touch with us. The THALIR will be always ready to help you in whatever way possible. In future, we are planning to have some more thing for this social activists, those who are involved in social apostolate, and so that we'll be able to, not only for writing project, but also to understand deeper about this, how to develop an issue, develop an incident into an issue. An incident and issue becomes a project becomes budget becomes after effects. That's the way it has to proceed. So that we'll be able to guide, and for the Prakash, Louise is an expert in this particular thing, rights-based approach. And I began in 2004. I brought first time to India this rights-based approach training. Now it is well spread out, and it's all over the country now. It's going very well, and you are among the ones who are entered into this particular time. You are most welcome to be in touch with us. And for all our the materials, please go into YouTube channel, subscribe to it, click the bell button, and be part of it. You will get all the motivational trainings for you, for your children, for the parents, for the women, for all those people. You have got materials to guide. This is actually one of the things we can do as a proactive methodology. So with this, I would like to thank Father Prakash, Louise, and for this wonderful presence. In spite of so much of struggles and difficulties, your travel, your flight was delayed and you have to travel all the way. You didn't want to miss. So during the travel, we had, this is a beautiful mobile session. Thank you so much. It has been a very good thing, and our group was very tolerant to enter into all these things. Thank you so much, friends. We'll keep in touch. And Father Ben, you can open the mic so that people can thank Father Praksh directly.
Yeah, I opened.
Yes. Thank you, Father Ben, for everything. Yes.